Planning's on now. All right, I'd like to welcome those online. This is Monday, November 6th. Our work session is 12:42. We're going to get started. I'm Commissioner Gage Frohr. With me is Commissioner Sharon Bolos and Commissioner Jim Harvey. We would start today's meeting with an action for approval of our minutes held last week on October 30th, 2023.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much. We're approved. Let's go to our next agenda item. We're happy to have Eric Bauman with us from the Gold Foundation. Eric, I'm gonna turn the time over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Well, thanks again for having me, and it was a pleasure to get to present to you a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, and like I said in that meeting, the last 4 years at Goal has just been amazing, and I just sincerely appreciate all of your support. And we would not have been able to be as successful as we've been over those years without your support. So thank you again. And I'm excited to introduce to you Troy Callentine today, who's the new executive director, was selected through a very rigorous selection committee. And I'm thrilled to introduce Troy to you today, and we'll let him tell you a little bit about himself. And I've had last week with him, and then we'll finish out this week together. And so I just wanted to make the connection.
So you got some big shoes to fill there, Troy.
Yeah.
Good. Welcome anyway. Tell us a little bit
Thank you.
about your history and
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in South Ogden. I live in Riverdale right now, 2 kids, 13 and 16, a boy and girl. Real estate's been my trade for 20 years, and I'll still remain licensed there. I'm at Keller Williams out in Layton, but I've done quite a bit of event management stuff through some of the ski races at Snow Basin, including the Olympics. I worked there for 99 through 2002. Did some summer projects for some cycling events and quite a few other things. And honestly, when this role came up, I've always just bumped into people that have been affiliated with Goal and running Goal. I've talked to Eric over the years with other things, and the opportunity for the role doesn't come up often, and it kind of excited me in a just a different path for the nearest future for me. So yeah, I'm really excited to get plugged in, and I'm kind of drinking from the fire hose right now. Eric's got a ton of information and everything, but Goal systems and the team they have in place is amazing, and I'm just excited to hop in and get going. So
that's neat. So what have you got planned for 2024?
Same staple events right now. We'll see the marathons coming up in May. We've got El Doce at Powder Mountain and the Nut, but we're all still, ironing out the final details, but those are the big events coming, the winter racing, the winter race circuit coming up as well. So those are really the big staple things. What else have we missed?
Yeah, no, those are the biggies. We got our youth programming in the summer months as well. We'll be cheering Gage across the finish line. Marathon, yeah.
Teaching the kids K.
He does
Yeah,
you
there
do
you
the
go.
half every year, right?
I've done the half.
But you did full, but you've been doing the half the last couple of years.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, last, what, 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, yeah.
Old age caught up with me. So, well, and Commissioner Bolos did the half too.
She took
That's
second.
right.
We did the relay,
You did the relay. That's right. That's right.
the
Yeah,
second year in a row. It was fun.
good.
We lost our key team member though.
Oh, you gotta
She's running the
recruit, you
full.
gotta get a ringer.
She's running the full
Yeah.
this year, so.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can find your ringer up there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great race. I mean, some years have been better weather than others.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never run it in bad weather.
There have been a.
There have been a few.
I don't know how I know, but I've never been caught.
When I
Haven't you
was,
really?
No.
I
Wow.
did before I worked for Gold, my
Wow.
mother-in-law, when she was 75, she said, I really want to do the 5K this year. Let's do it together. So I walked the 5K with my wife and her in blowing, freezing rain.
Yeah.
It was the longest 5K ever, but it's fun. Yeah, makes for good memories. But
Yeah.
we have been blessed with good weather the last 2 years. for
Oh.
sure.
Mhm.
Beautiful
The
days.
last 2 years have been amazing.
Yeah. So let's hope we'll put in for that now.
And Commissioner Harvey gets all the people from down here up there
Yeah.
on the bus.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah, so Commissioner Harvey helps out with our busing
Okay.
and sits on our board and just helps out in a ton of different ways throughout the years. That's not true. You support.
He's the go-to guy in this county, I'm telling you. You need it, you call him.
Yes.
I could grab your number.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
I'm excited for Troy. I guess I got to know him a little bit over the last couple of years, but the last week, we spent a lot of time together, and I think he's gonna be an incredible leader. And I think he'll take goal right into the next chapter and just continue improving it. And he's got a great team. He's got a great community. He's got a great support system here. And he's got a great internal team at goal right now. And I think I'm really happy for him. He's got a great, strong board, and I think he's gonna be very successful. So,
Yeah, I'm super excited.
yeah, happy to have it.
Okay.
That's great. We're glad to have you on board.
Thanks.
Commissioner Bowles, any questions or comments?
No, just welcome. Thank you. Thank you for your.
Thank you. And I'll be around. I'll probably see you later. I'll be volunteering and
Good.
I'll be around. So.
Yeah, don't be a stranger.
No, I won't. Yeah.
We always need good volunteers,
Yeah.
you know? Commissioner Harvey?
Oh, thank you for coming in, Troy. Nice.
Yeah.
I think I've met you, but it's probably been 30 years.
Yeah, I think we've met along the way somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They've got an old chairlift out of their front porch. The front porch.
My
Well,
parents.
a swing at the parents' house
On Jennifer Drive, yeah.
Well,
and an old Land Cruiser, an FJ40.
Do you
Really?
really?
That's
Yeah,
nice too.
Really?
He just rebuilt the whole thing too. It's taking his garage spot right now, so.
where was the chair? Was that the old Wildcat lift?
No, I think it was the old Becker, if I recall.
The old
The
Becker?
old one that terminated at the top of, or bottom of Bear Hall.
You remember Becker?
Do I ever? That was my first winter job up there. Catching chairs on the Becker lift. In fact, I'm still
Really?
a little ticked off because I worked the day of Christmas up there back years ago. My mom gave me
1940.
brand new ski gloves and it got caught between a skier and the
Uh-oh.
And
Took your glove.
glove, never got it back.
Hot fingers, probably. Do
Hot fit, yeah.
you remember those hot
I
fingers?
do, yeah.
Yeah.
That was I wasn't at Snow Basin, but my very first job was Powder Mountain, swinging chairs.
Was it?
Yep. I went through a lot of gloves there too. I
Yeah.
get it. I feel you.
You gotta watch those gloves, watch those fingers on those chairs. They're not fancy chairs like they have now.
No, I never done that, sorry. Dang it,
It's all right, I haven't either, Jim.
yeah.
Well, there's still time.
Yeah.
Don't give up.
I will, yeah.
You'll just exchange contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm gonna send out an email, I'll connect you with everything and for the end of the week.
When's your first day, or is it today?
I started last Tuesday.
Started last
actually.
week,
Yeah, we've
yeah.
been hunkered down, going through all the files and operating procedures and everything else. Today's the first day in the office and.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, timing for you couldn't be better.
I think so.
For you and the market and everything else. It is.
The time is good for me and good for my kids. My daughter just got her driver's license and
Oh,
that's,
Oh.
that's a big game changer.
That's a game changer.
Frees up a lot of time for me, yes.
Makes a difference. I agree. Well, Eric, thank you very much. Thanks
Thank
for all
you.
you've done for
Thank
goals,
you.
for the community.
Thanks.
I mean,
It's been
goals just
amazing.
another shining example of what we do here in the county and the city.
Yeah.
And, well, I don't know how many attendees you have come from out of state, but there's a lot.
Yeah.
For the marathon.
Oh, yeah.
And, so it's an economic driver and it's, you know, it's probably one of the most beautiful courses that I've run.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, it's a beautiful course.
So coming down Ogden Canyon, just.
Can't beat it.
oh,
Special occasion.
Yeah.
The best is stopping at Scott Mendoza's house for
Yeah.
bacon. He had bacon for Sean Wilkins
Yeah.
and I ran a half.
so you just ran across the bridge, grabbed a couple slices.
He had a whole table set up for us and everything.
See, and I run the first leg, so I didn't get any bacon.
You didn't get any bacon?
I was on
You
the
got
first
chipped.
leg.
Make some
You got
adjustments.
Chip.
I am on the wrong leg.
Yeah,
Isn't he below the oaks? Oh,
I'll have to remember. I'm gonna tell him, get that bacon ready for next year.
yeah.
It was great.
We had Matt Howard from the bike shop.
Yeah.
He always sets up down at right at the base of the canyon and he cooks his pancake.
Oh.
He's been doing bacon the last couple of
Mhm.
years too, right there. So when you're coming out of the canyon, don't miss the bacon.
Is it before you go under the tunnel?
It's right before you go under, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, is that the bike shop?
Yep.
Okay, I remember, I don't usually feel
Pancakes
like
and
eating
bacon.
about that point in time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you what.
Bacon? I mean, bacon's kind of an anytime food.
Yeah, you can eat bacon a lot, anytime.
Well, thanks again. for
Well,
having
thanks,
us.
Eric,
Thanks for
Troy.
lunch,
It's great to
and,
meet you. Thanks for lunch and
Welcome aboard.
we'll be chatting a bunch more, I'm sure, so.
Yeah,
Make sure you,
Thank
you know, keep us posted on what you're doing over there. We always like to hear the update, so.
yeah, absolutely. And we were just talking through the partnership agreement, but we'll get those comp codes sent over to you guys, so you'll have your codes, so you can register.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, we appreciate that.
absolutely.
We had I think we had quite a few people that did the last couple. I know Chris and Sean and
Yeah,
number of other people took advantage of that.
perfect, great. And don't feel, if you ever need
I'll serve
more,
the bacon.
yeah, just feel free to reach out to Troy and we can adjust those numbers, make sure you have enough for everybody.
Great. Appreciate that
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sure, thanks.
Yes.
Oh, 12:45. It must be out there. Eric, will you see if, we got people out there waiting for you?
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, looks like a good, you want me to send them in?
Send them in.
Okay, all right.
I don't know anything about this.
I don't even,
Herway,
mine was, at the end of last week, we only had one item on the agenda.
really?
Here we are.
Wow.
Filled in the blanks.
Yeah. Well, I guess.
Charlie. Yeah.
Come on in, gentlemen.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah.
Great to see you. Good to see you. Yeah, handouts, I know you like.
Well, Rick, how are you? How's it going?
Good. Upper Valley.
I probably need to have a chat with
For you.
you and,
For you, thank you very much.
I know I got an issue with somebody that Tammy's been working with, and I think Steve Burton on, Chris Argyle.
Okay.
Just wanted to, I had a little conversation with him today. Okay. Just whenever we find a chance. Perfect. Chris Argyle. How's that? What's that? He runs that agri farm up in the valley and whatever.
Oh, never mind. Different Argyle. Yeah. Never mind. Happy to.
I know I've met him before. All right. You need to,
Land uses. Commissioner Harvey, just quickly, Lisa Laird would like you to talk to her down in the chamber. Chamber of Commerce. She was just up here looking for.
Oh, sure, I know what that is.
there you go.
Just passing that on.
Yeah.
All right, welcome, gentlemen. So we're at our 12:45. Sorry, I thought we had till 1 o'clock, but regarding the Seth Herway rezone. Yes. I'm correct on that. So we got Bill Kobe with us. John Wilkinson's with us, Rick Grover, Charlie Ewert. I see Charlie, there he is, his smiling face. Chris Crockett, Cortland and Liam. Boy, how come we're kind of attorneyed up here? Yeah, exactly.
They got an eye on us.
Yeah, I don't think it has anything to do with the agenda. It has to do with pizza. All right, so Bill, you're listed first.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
This is a rezone application for 2 3/4 acres, right around 3 acres of land. They're looking to change from the FV 3 zoning district to form-based code. This was already done across the street in the Dog and Bone rezone, which went through just a few months ago. As part of the street regulating plan and the form-based code, this street which is on page 3 or the third page that you got there. This is slated to be in a rural, which is a word I can never say, rural residential street type. Which calls and allows for 1 acre lots. Again, as you see on the second page there, the Dog and Bone across the street is another property that just recently rezoned to the form-based code.
Do me a favor,
And would develop in
circle that on that map where you're talking,
right here.
thank
The
you.
Dog and Bone is the large empty
I
lot.
can't see the colors.
Oh, I'm sorry about
All
that.
right.
Yeah. I apologize.
This larger one is Dog and Bone right here. And
The
then-
larger one is,
Yeah, and then this is the applicant's.
so we're talking about right here.
Well, that
Yes.
canal, or is it a street or something goes through there?
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay,
They've got, as you can see, the property is developed on the westerly portion of the property. On the easterly side, it's vacant. But it does have the canal that kind of cuts through there. That's something that we would need to consider if and when this ever comes through for a subdivision. I know it's their intent to add an additional lot on the east side of the property. But how that looks and how they get access is something that we'll have to determine as we go through the subdivision process. They also own, just to the south of what you see outlined or highlighted, they own a small sliver of property. So they've technically got 2 lots there that they're looking at, including in this zone change and eventual subdivision of land. One of the things that we are thinking about as far as street regulating plan goes, and maybe Charlie can talk to this a little more, is the idea that that road as it comes, if you look at this map here, the road as it comes up and over the top and follows the northerly portion of their property, we're looking at maybe extending that street regulating plan along the northerly portion of their property, which would provide them access to the easterly portion of their property, as well as access to the east and to the properties to the north, if and when those guys develop out as well. So it's more of an access question than anything else, but that's
Yeah.
something that we'd like to have you guys maybe think about as we come through with additional street regulating plan amendments, just to include that on there, but
That's it, you said it.
okay.
Bill, would you mind just explaining to him what happened at planning commission?
Yes, so the
Yeah.
planning commission met and discussed this. They had a public hearing. And in there, there was some discussion and concern about the timing of the thing. With regard to, especially with regard to utilities and access to those things. Obviously, if they don't get water and sewer or septic to this property, you just can't develop. That's the same with any subdivision, regardless of whatever zone it's in. So the planning commission expressed those concerns, but ultimately they voted in favor of recommending approval of this subdivision. So
Unanimously?
there was one
Okay, that's
no
all.
vote, but the other four that were there or available were voted in favor of it. So
Okay.
that question kind of got resolved in their minds before they decided to vote on it. So
Yeah. I mean,
What I
that's-
understand about the no vote, I think some of the concern from, it's actually more than the one planning commissioner expressed this concern, is the idea of village creep, where the villages are getting bigger and bigger than they were intended to be in the beginning. But I've come to learn there may be a fundamental misunderstanding from a number of people in the planning commission on what the form-based zone is intended to do. From what I heard in their dialogue, it almost seemed like they thought the form-based zone was only intended to create villages. And that's not the case at all. In fact, we're talking about a rural residential 1 acre area adjacent to. So the other side of that concern, I think, is where TDRs are allowed to go and not allowed to go. So if we are doing a 1 acre lot size, a rural residential 1 acre lot size in an area that would otherwise be 3 acre minimum, then we're obviously allowing more density to occur in those locations. It's still rural, but it's at a higher density in that location than it would be if it was just a 3 acre. And so I think they want to see as much of that TDR stuff concentrated in the village center as opposed to kind of spread out. But that wasn't the initial intent of the street regulating plan here. It was to have that village center, which is definitely concentrated, and then kind of ripple out with lesser and lesser and lesser density until you get out to the rural or to the 3 acre lot density anyway.
Yeah.
And so this is doing exactly what it's intended to do. I just think the planning commission is a little bit, they weren't all here and on the planning commission when all this was coming down the pipeline. And so I think they're just a little bit misinformed or confused about what the intention is.
And the intention was never to concentrate all of the development rights in the village center as outlined by that dashed line. It was to bring it into the general area of where these things are. And so this definitely lends to that and supports those goals and aims.
Yeah, that's another concern that members of the public have expressed. They're saying we're violating the general plan because we're allowing these villages to go beyond the dashed red circles that are on those maps. But
You'll see, well, you don't see it on this one,
but if you read the map very clearly says the circles are not intended to define the boundaries of that village.
Right.
They're just identifying that walking area at the center of those villages.
and having these transition areas between the higher density and the much lower density of the 3 acre lots, I think is a good practice. Not only because it enhances the property rights of the people who live here, in offset of the burden that they have with the increased traffic and everything else that they have to deal with. But it provides that logical and methodical transition from, like I say, from the higher density to the little bit lower density to the very low density areas of the county.
Worth to mention, I did shoot an email to the planning commission to try and clarify some of these misconceptions, but it is worth mentioning that there was a member of the public who came to the public hearing not a lot of people there to speak in favor or against, but there was one person who mentioned that he would prefer to see one of our existing 1 acre zones apply to the property, the FR1 zone. And he held up the FR1 zone document and he said, this is 5 pages long. And then he said, the form-based zone is 130 pages long. And first off, the form-based zone is about 40 something pages long and half of those are pictures. But whether that was hyperbole or not is beside the point. The form-based zone has 10 different development styles, everything from a higher density center core to a very low density 3 acre development style. If in
It's
an
meant to be
ideal,
a template, not a law.
if everything is zoned to the form-based zone, it would be a law, yes. But it identifies 10 different development styles, the same way you have 10 different zones having 10 different development styles. And so I just out of curiosity, went through the existing zones that apply to the Ogden Valley, added all the pages of those together to figure out how many pages of regulation exists on all of the Ogden Valley floor zones, and it was 190 pages compared to a form-based code, which is about 45 pages with pictures. That said, the whole point behind form-based was to meet some of the minimum objectives of the general plan, create villages, create small area plans, create TDR sending areas and receiving areas, but then also consolidate some of the regulatory overbuild that is in your existing zones. And in an ideal world, in my opinion, the valley floor will be covered in form-based zones at some point, where we still have 3 acre lots for most of it. And then you've got some other types of lot styles as you get closer to the village centers.
Kind of graduated and progressive, yeah.
And it's doing the same thing, just doing it more efficiently, cleanly, and with less words.
I agree. All that to say, that's what the application is in front of you right now, is one of these transition kind of areas from the lower density to the higher density. We do have the applicant is here if you have questions for her. Seth is regrettably not able to be here, but he is probably helping someone recover from a surgery or some such right now, and so he can be excused.
Okay, so is this a 1 acre zone now, or
It's a 3 acre zone.
a 3 acre? Okay. And so the property, so this is Eden Acres here, I'm assuming. And then this was this larger piece is the property that
This is the dog and bone
they
development.
transferred development rights off the point there, I call it the point coming off of Eden to here.
Mhm.
Okay, so
But
what's
they can
it,
only be a 1 acre lots on that piece, right?
They can.
Got it.
Well, that's per the
Sorry.
street regulating,
under the street regulated, it could be 1 acre.
Yeah, for the form-based.
minimum of 1 acre.
No, I just, it had interrupted you, I'm
No.
sorry.
So are we gonna require the density TDRs to be implemented on this piece then?
Correct.
Okay,
And they're aware of that.
you're aware of that?
My only thing that I wanna make sure of is because of this canal thing going through here. I wanna make sure, with all due respect, the applicant can't say, oh, I've got a piece of property here, I got a 1/4 acre here, and I got 3/4 acres across the canal. I wanna make it so that the acres all contiguous with one another, not have this canal in between.
Sure, and regardless, they've got one parcel. These are the same parcels.
Sure, but it's just in the future in case, should they ever sell it or do something else with it, I wanna make sure that the landowner, whoever has the house, has 1 acre all together on the same side without that canal going.
Correct. Yes, that's what we shoot for.
If that's in the wording somewhere, so everybody knows, we're all singing out of the same hymn book, so to speak, later, 20 years from now, I just don't wanna set a future commission up to have to sit down here and deal with that.
Yeah, don't set yourself up.
So would that require a development agreement then, if we were going to impose that restriction, because
It may require a development agreement in addition to this.
So you mean right now,
Not
are
on
we
the
allowed to
rezone,
do
though.
it?
Yes,
Right now, they
Rezone?
could,
I don't want it, that would
they
be,
have an easement.
that'd be disingenuous to the whole thing up there.
How much property is there right now in that?
A little over 2.
Okay,
So I think it'd be hard to get 1 acre on the other side of the canal, because I think it's just.
Unless the applicant bought other property around there and.
It's true.
you
That's
know,
true, but in that case, all bets are off at that point. There'd be a completely different zone change and everything else that's associated. with
Well,
that.
there you
So,
go.
Yeah,
If that property was sold. If the piece across the canal was
if
sold.
they were to split it off at that,
Adjacent, yeah.
some future time.
Right.
Yeah, you're right.
I've seen some really messy stuff down the road. They say, why'd they let them do this? You know, why they? So.
Well,
I
we're
don't wanna
committed to
talk.
making sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I guess my question just arose out of, if we rezone it, then any development entitlement will be based on what the regulations are in the zone, either now or in the future if they get amended. And so if we want to add a restriction like Commissioner Harvey is suggesting, then that could require a development agreement. Otherwise, it would just be based on whatever the zone allows.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think a farm-based zone would restrict that from happening, but we could restrict it with a development agreement.
That's just where I am with it. I'm just letting you know in advance.
Commissioner Bowles, questions or comments?
Mhm.
So any comments from the applicant?
No, just thank you for taking the time to look it over and any questions that you have, and we're happy to answer, or any restrictions if we are willing to hear what you have to say and follow. We just are trying to build a different home without tearing down the existing home. And so there's a few ways that we could do it.
There's an existing home on it.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's our, well, and we currently live in it.
great. Well, to me, it's not an expansion of the district, the central area down there, the village area. I mean, I spoke for the last 4.5 years about good planning requires transition. You don't put, homes, 3-acre lots next to storage sheds. Okay, you need to have a transition from commercial, higher density, lower density, all the way through. So to me, that, and again, a lot of people in the valley hate hearing that, but we've already committed that, hey, the village areas, if we're gonna make the general plan work, which we're behind the general plan, we have to bring that density in, but then you spread that out as the market. And again, the market is gonna dictate it, not us.
And
So-
the property owner's wishes.
And you've got 1-acre lots here, you got next to it, all the way basically west, it's 1-acre lot, so I don't see it to be non-conforming.
Yeah.
So,
I want to find a way to say yes, but still be able to protect the future. That's all.
That makes sense.
yeah. All right. Yeah, and I appreciate Commissioner Harvey. I think that will come in the future in terms of whatever the development.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, does that answer your question?
That's us. Thank you very much.
That whole thing, let's keep that out.
You want to keep it?
I'll keep
You
it.
could frame it.
I'm keeping mine, just so you know.
It's quality item.
Quality. I can tell by the 2-pound paper. Wow.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Well, we're back on schedule. We're close to it.
Wow.
Sean, who else you got coming? You got Bill
We've got, yes, Bill and
Chatwin?
Mike Chatlin should be here.
Well, we're gonna be through in good time.
Which Bill?
Bill Ross.
William George.
Yes, yes, indeed.
There he is right
Well,
there.
they're speaking.
I heard someone, I thought my mother was in here.
Speaking of the devil.
Wow, I might. Oh, it's good. Uh-oh,
Uh-oh.
brought in the horsepower there. Thank you.
All right,
All right.
Sean, let's talk about the Weaver Center rental policy.
Yes,
I thought we had a policy.
we do have an existing policy. We're looking to amend it.
Okay,
So commissioners, we met with you back in June to discuss the Weaver Center rental policy. And we had quite the discussion about security. That seemed to be what came up the most.
yeah,
So I went back, I looked at the minutes. I also looked at the video. And these are the things that stood out to me from that last conversation. I apologize that it was 4 months ago. It's just the way that
That
things
can
go
happen.
with workload, so. One of the big discussions was about the first floor after hours. Because we have such an open footprint in the Weaver
Yeah.
Center, if people come in for an event, they really have access to the entire building right now. And if we were to lock doors or block stairways or elevators or things like that, potentially that brings up some concerns with safety, accessibility, those kinds of things. There was also a discussion about, well, that was really our discussion. So I've made some changes in the policy to refer to that. But before we go there, I sat down and talked with Mike, and he brought up a question about accessibility if we were to close the second floor. So we have that main access from our parking lot.
Yeah.
But if we are only allowing events to be held on the first floor after hours, then the question is, if we close off those second floor doors, what does that do to our accessibility for those that may need an elevator or something like that, rather than having them park and then have to go down the sidewalk all the way to the Washington entrance. Now, speaking with Cortland, we don't believe there are legal concerns with that, because someone will sign a rental agreement acknowledging they still want to use our facility even with those doors locked. But that becomes a policy question for you. How do we want to provide that service, or do we want to open the second floor doors and allow elevators to be used to get down to an event, or require people to go down a sidewalk? So that's more of a policy question, just something to think about. The other thing that we talked about was, do we use gates? Do we put different locks on doors? How do we secure the areas that we want to be secured? It doesn't, in our mind, after discussing, it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to do too much right now, where we're considering doing some remodels to the Weber Center. So we wanted to discuss that with you as well today. Mike, do you have any comments offhand right now that you want to bring up as part of that security discussion?
Only that under the current condition, it's almost impossible to secure that first floor. And Sean's mentioned that as we do that, it may raise concerns with the fire marshal for egress. And then again, we talked about the ADA accessibility. As we kind of somewhat related to this, will probably be elections access to that lower level as well.
Yep.
That we probably ought to keep in mind as we move forward on the remodel or whatever we choose to do.
Absolutely.
Right. So how do we then deal with that for elections? Because elections.
So with elections, we'll typically have security here.
Okay.
And that's the other point. In the policy, we have said that that's on the first page there. So you see 18.1.3, after hours events, 5 p.m. or later, are limited to areas on the first floor of the Weber Center, and only the main entrance from Washington may be used. Now we'll have to consider that. Then let's go to the next page.
Yeah.
So we said 18.1.5, building security is required for after hours events, 5 p.m. or later. This service can be arranged by contacting the Weber County Sheriff's Deputy at the Weber Center. Alternatively, the renter may provide its own security with approval from the County Commission. So we will require security, whether it's provided by the renter or provided by the county. Now, the only time that does not apply is with political parties, because we cannot charge them. So if we want security, if a political party is meeting here, then we have to provide that security. Talking to Mike, we can contact him. Typically what we'll use, and you know the name for it.
That's Officer Track is a program that the sheriff's office has adopted to help staff all of those overtime shifts, like Forest Service, things like that.
So we removed the fee language, because the fee will just be whatever the sheriff's office charges based on their contract rate. And we can require whoever rents to have security. Now, yes, sir.
May I?
Sure, go ahead.
Chair. We have the ability now to be able to take a key and disable the buttons on the first floor.
On the elevator? No.
That's something that could be added.
It is, but that goes back to Mike's comments about whether the fire marshal would allow us to do that.
Let me finish my thought. If you had the ability to turn off pushing the button on the first floor, doesn't mean somebody could come from the third floor down to the first floor and exit if they're working later, or from the basement, come up and get out. But for that brief moment, I guess somebody could get in there, but somebody couldn't go in there and push the button to be able to have access. We're talking about that. And then you put a gate, and I'm talking about a pull down gate that has the wire between it, right there near the corner of the women's restroom. So as you go, as you walk down the hallway, men's are right here, women's just a little farther on the right beyond that, a gate right there that you pull down and lock. You'd still be able to have people go in during the night. You'd lock the elevators, they'd have emergency access out through the old law library as another way out. They'd be able to get out the front doors and there'd be no other access. Problem solved. Now you'd have to tell the people, whoever's coming in, listen, if you want to be able to come to the first floor, you have to, everybody, if you're gonna rent our building, you gotta walk down the sidewalk, it's this. No, we gotta have that upper parking lot. Great, we can do that, but now you're gonna have to do this with it now. And I like the idea so that we know it's covered of only going everything just like we would have done in other spaces, county spaces. We coordinate all of that. We coordinate so we know it got done.
Instead of allowing an outside.
Allowing the outside to do it, because we don't know, all of a sudden, it's the night of, oh, we forgot. No. That's just, if you rent the upper parking lot if you want access from the upper parking lot, it's this fee. You can use the upper parking lot, we're not renting the lot. But if you want access otherwise, because then their buddy could go in the main floor and they can't go back upstairs because the gate's there. They're locked. The people that are in that office can still go up the stairs and exit the building. It works. It works. It costs us a little for the gate. It costs us for the switch on the elevator, but it's not that big of a fix, and it fixes everything else that we're trying to solve. I've been thinking about this for a while.
Any thoughts on that?
I think it's a lot harder to do that with the elevator than.
Maybe because ours is so old.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
without the upgrade, but with the remodel, that might change the whole form of that, so.
Just think about it, because all they gotta have is access to those bathrooms. That's all we're really after. Merrill Lynch is locked, the tile company's locked, the other place that's on that other thing's locked. The public defender's locked. Public defender, if they got out that door, they'd still be locked on the first floor. They'd have to go out the main doors. You know, it's just, everybody's still got double access, double way out. So it still works. The fire marshal shouldn't be an issue. From what little I know, but unless they change the rules.
But whatever
I've been
we
working with that for 25, 30 years. Whatever, Bill?
No, I was thinking on the fire side, but yeah, no, you're good.
Sorry, I
Oh,
didn't mean to simplify it so much.
No, so the question, if we do that,
Two rates. Just charge two rates, one rate for the room without the security, and the other rate, they want access from the second floor, and then they gotta have security.
yeah, so at that point, you don't care if they have security.
I don't care, and I don't care if,
Okay, all
it
right.
just has it, I don't care.
If they don't use the elevator.
Yeah, they can't use it. I guess you could have a homeless guy come in again.
But and that's our concern. We're not concerned that somebody renting it is going to have problems with unruly behavior or anything like that. It's really making sure that the building is locked down and that when everyone leaves, it's empty.
Look, so maybe we do say, hey, listen, you have to have some level of security there. If you want access from the second floor, you have to use our security. So we always say there's security. You just have the option to provide it, and it can be a member of your team, Miss political party or whoever it is. We want to find a way for them to say yes and still say, and perform a check or whatever.
So the question would come up with wildlife rack, for example. They have uniformed officers with weapons, and I mean, they have security there, but they're not familiar with our building and they're not going to be the ones performing. So in the past, we have not required them to pay the security fee, but in this case, we would.
If they wanted to use the second floor access.
Okay, all right.
This isn't a question on who it is. It's just a question on if they want second floor access. being able to come in and use the elevator coming down. It's just that simple. That
Well,
way we're not being prejudiced on who the event is. We're just saying if you want this as additional access.
and I agree, but in some cases, there might be entities that use it that are public safety oriented or something like that, where they don't actually need the sheriff here for security per se. But to your point, I
And they
agree.
could use their own, that could just be a designated person, sergeant of arms for the security. When they come in for the building, I'm thinking about when the Republican Party comes in and uses the building, if they want to have a sergeant of arms do the building out, I'm just.
Yeah, we can't, again, with political parties, we cannot charge.
Oh, well, however that, yeah, listen, we don't, and this way, we don't charge them for coming in. However, if they want access for the second floor, that's an additional fee because we have hard costs to cover the sheriff.
And so, just to clarify that on the political party thing, you still have the authority to impose conditions generally for use of a meeting facility.
Right.
And the charge for a political party may not exceed the actual cost of custodial services and any service requested by the political party and provided by the meeting facility. So if we give them, the way I read that, if we give them the option of either providing their own security and us not charging them for it, or if they request that the sheriff provide it, I think if they request it, we can charge them for it. But we would need to probably give them that option to provide it themselves. And if we do go down the path of charging for second floor access, that would be an optional elective thing that we could charge them for potentially.
Okay, all right.
I think we could.
So we can charge them, Sean.
That, and I did not
If they
understand that
request it.
If
previously.
they request it, and we provide it, or if it's for custodial services.
Second floor access, if they request second floor access, they've
Okay.
got to pay us for that's all there's to it,
Okay.
because it opens up the rest of the building.
Are the political parties using second floor access now?
No, I believe we have
All first floor?
restricted to that first floor
Okay.
entrance.
If we call that a service that they request.
If we had a gate across, we have to still have the gate and the elevator thing. This is all.
That's what, you're right, you're right. That's what makes it option. Okay, well, with that then, commissioners, I guess the question has been answered. Second floor is optional. If they don't want the second floor and we put in these security measures, they do not need to provide their own security then. If they're just using the first floor.
If they're only using the first floor.
But we still have issues with them accessing the second floor because we can't turn off the elevators.
Right now we can't. So we're talking if we get the gate and the elevator.
So you got two things to accomplish before we can even talk about the second floor.
That's correct.
Elevator and gate.
That's right.
And I don't want to spend any money on, gates or even the elevator, depending on the cost, until we get to this remodel. I mean, we know right now that we're headed down the road to a future remodel. This is one thing that really needs to be ironed out during those discussions.
Right.
Is how can we provide a better environment? And I think a couple of those designs would allow that. A little better design for public access.
Yes.
After hours and a more secure Weaver Center for everybody else. So,
So do you want us to then check into the cost of those?
yeah, I think we should check. You okay with, let's check into the cost, but I don't, if it's a much over a few $1,000s, I think we wait until we do the.
I'm with you. I thought we were set up. Yeah, you're trying to solve today. I'm solving.
Correct.
I'm solving for 5 and 10 years. from
Okay,
now.
yeah,
Well, hopefully we'll have it solved when we do the redesign.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's we better do that or we're gonna miss the boat.
Don't want to, but I don't want to wave from the pier, but
No.
watching the boat leaving.
Don't see the boat pulling out.
So, go ahead.
Was I raising my
I
hand?
thought you were maybe not.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
I don't understand why we even need second floor access as an option.
My only thing is if they have a bunch of people coming in and that are, they can still use the sidewalk, but if they, for whatever reason, they want to use an elevator and they did, having worked in that area for a lot of years, if they say, well, you've got to have that, then just say, great, you can have that. And there's just a
I
cost
know, but why do
associated
we
with
have to
it.
have that? We're not traveling any further. If
But
I'm in
if-
a wheelchair and
I'm
I go
sorry.
down and around the
If your
building, it's-
mean age of that group happens to be 85, it could affect whether or not they want all of their participants to walk
Come
down
down
the
the steep
sidewalk as
sidewalk.
opposed
They
to
just
using the
pay for it.
elevator.
I'm just
Well,
trying to solve.
Again,
I
right
just
now,
think
I
they're
don't
going
think,
the same distance, whether you walk into the elevator and then into the room. You're not walking any more feet to use the sidewalk.
I've just watched some of those people that wanna walk in that door and. You know, go to the elevator and go down rather than go down that sidewalk. It's giving them an option. I would like to solve the problem before the problem comes back and say, gosh, they really wanted to do that. Now he's left out there. You can only have this option. You can only, this option's available to the group. They gotta pay for it. That's all it is. It's just one more step. I'm with you on the whole thing. I'm just saying, let's add the second step in case in case someone ever requires it.
But for right now, we can't
Can't do that now.
implement that.
so I would say right now, first floor only,
Okay,
end of
But
story.
they can still get to the staircase.
So,
They can still get to the elevators. I mean, we're stuck right now.
well, we require security at that point.
There you go.
Okay,
I don't know how else you do it.
all right.
Yeah.
That's just the way it's written.
Yep.
I'm trying to make it a little less expensive for some of these groups, you know, that wanna
Right.
use public facilities.
so how many groups do we have? I mean, how many people?
That's what I'm wondering. Is
How many
this
are we
like
talking
the place
about?
to
So
gather?
after hours, recently, we've only had the wildlife rack group
Okay.
and some political parties have rented it as well.
Yeah.
But that's it. So
Yeah.
we're not anticipating a huge surge in people wanting to use the facility, but if they do, we want to have a good policy in place
Sure.
so it protects us.
Well, I just say, look, for right now, first floor access, you pay for security if you want anything else, and that has to be, the security has to be approved.
Very good.
But I
This says
would,
approved from the county commission.
Yeah.
Or do we want it? approved
Well,
by-
there's an exception. So if for some reason there is a group or something that you feel like should not have to pay that security because they can secure the building, then you have the ability to
Why
waive
wouldn't we
that.
give you guys the ability to do that?
You could do that too.
I mean, that makes sense.
We-
That could be something you have to offer to political parties.
That, yeah,
Because
that's,
giving them the option of providing it themselves would avoid them having to pay a fee for
you
something.
just want Sean and Bill to be able to approve it.
Yeah, I just don't understand. There
Okay.
could be an exception and
Yeah,
we're gonna allow it.
I don't think it has
I
to
don't
come
think
back
we
to
have to
us.
see that.
okay, all right.
I mean, you'll know what the.
I mean,
group-
ultimately, these get approved in commission meeting anyway.
Yeah.
So if we feel like an exception
Yeah,
yeah, warranted, then we'll bring it to
that's
you.
how I see it.
Okay. All right.
All right.
I think we know what we need to do.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, Sean, 1:30, you're still up. I think we got
All right.
Brooke and Brandon and Andy coming to this next one. If I'm reading this right.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike.
You bet.
When we made them, it's open to.
Oh, cool.
Orla, make sure you get some pizza there.
Everyone's doing that. I never saw a pineapple grow in Italy. By the way, just saying.
Never saw a pineapple grow where?
In Italy. Where pizza is supposed to.
You making fun of the fruit on the pizza?
Yeah. Not a pineapple guy. And they
You're
all-
not?
Hey,
Hi, Andy. Come on in.
Brandon Quinn.
All right.
Brandon Quinn. I'm gonna come that way. Oh, sorry. I'll come around that way. Just make it wide, get you stuck in that corner.
Congratulations on winning the.
Wow, doesn't get any better than that. does it?
Very well.
That's right. I felt so proud.
Did Sean win the prize?
Yeah.
Hey,
New car, did they give you a new car?
Wait, was it a new car?
Yeah, it's a little matchbox.
Oh, worth. So worth it.
you waiting for Brandon?
Yeah, he should be right here. And Scott Park, I believe, was going to pop in as well.
Okay. Good to know.
I've just found on these events, you have to anticipate the question before the situation comes, you're in deep.
Well, you just gotta explain it to every, yeah, so you have to understand, not show up and expect to have full access. So I don't disagree.
Can you show me the sign? Can you show me the sign where it says that?
That's the voice I like to mimic, Jim, right there.
That's good. But I don't think we have that many.
That's what your last question was my question. How
Yeah,
many
it's like-
people are in our building after 5? And the GOP doesn't unlock that second floor. So that's where I'm coming from.
Do they use the whole, they just come in from
First floor and there's
Washington side?
Yeah. a wheelchair user. She
In fact,
rolls
I
down the
think-
Sidewalk and.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Let's convince them we're looking after their health, getting 2 more steps in.
It's the same number of steps. That's what I'm saying.
Well, but you're not riding the elevator when you go down the sidewalk.
You're still covering the same distance. I'm gonna map it out.
Map it out. I'd like to, let's
I
take,
am.
I'm gonna take my wheel line.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll get to the bottom of that. All right, Sean,
Yes.
1:30 discussion regarding ARPA funds for Weber Housing Authority. Sean Brook is here. Brandon Quinney and Andy Beatles.
Yes.
Sean, who wants to
I'm
start?
gonna let Brandon take this one.
Okay, Brandon, you're up.
I believe, commissioners, that these both agreements have been presented to you in a past work session, but we have 2 ARPA agreements that we want to put on hopefully the next commission agenda. The first one is just an amendment to an agreement that we already have with the Weber Housing Authority. The only thing that has changed, this is for the 1 million, is that correct? The only thing that has changed in this is the flow of the money. So it's the same amount, the same project. It's just going to flow through a couple entities to get eventually to the project. The Housing Authority has hired a development consultant that specializes in affordable housing projects, and they've helped Andy structure the project so that they can capture as many financial grants and incentives as possible. So this ARPA agreement just accounts for that there's just a couple extra steps the money's gonna go through before it gets to the ultimate project. So the scope is just changing for that reason. That's the first one. The second one is.
That's on the Wall Avenue.
Yeah, Ninth
Yes.
and Wall, and that's the county's $1 million.
Yes,
that we
right.
put in.
Yeah, the
Got it.
second agreement is for the $1.9 million that the state awarded to the county for the same project.
Okay,
So for reasons that Scott Park might only know, we applied for the funding as the county instead of having the housing authority apply for it directly. And the state awarded the money to Weber County. Now, we just have to be the pass-through entity and hand it off to the housing authority, and it'll go through the same flow that the $1 million of the county.
The
would.
state awarded the money to the county for the purpose of the Weber Housing Authority.
Yes, for that project.
for that project.
Just, I want just making it clear.
Yes, so this agreement that I will be, if we've already vetted it with all the parties, the ARPA Evaluation Committee has looked through both of them as well. We've got staff approval, but now it just is gonna go to commission to pass through that 1.9 million. So we have those 2 agreements ready to go. And unless you have any questions or concerns, we would like to put it on next week's commission agenda.
Questions or comments, commissioners?
One,
Yeah,
does this in any way make us liable for anything by using this pathway?
We're always going to be a little bit liable for ARPA funding that goes through the county. We have to make sure that the funding, when it leaves us and moves on to a subrecipient, is spent eligibly. So we've got controls in place in our agreements that make the subrecipients and anybody after that report back to us. We don't reimburse anything until we've got the assurances in place that it is being spent eligibly. So yes, we do have some liabilities, but we account for those with certain provisions that we can check off first before the money actually leaves the county's accounts.
yeah, so it's post-performance.
Yes, exactly. It's reimbursement based, so
Yeah.
which gives us the opportunity to make sure that it is going to be spent eligibly before we release those funds.
Okay. Questions, Commissioner Harvey,
No,
Commissioner Bowles? Okay, no, I understand, and so the state 1.9 and our one go both to wall, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
And then I will work with the housing authority to come up with the contracts to go through, move on through the Friends of the Housing Authority and then
Perfect.
on from there.
Okay.
So we'll need to do that on the housing authority board level after this is all done.
Yes, this is the first step.
Yeah, it sounds like you got a deal,
Okay,
but do we have a deal with Ogden City?
well, it's already through Ogden.
So we're already through Ogden?
So two separate projects. You're
Mhm.
thinking of the Aspen project.
Oh, I was
that's not
thinking Aspen.
Ogden City. Yeah,
That brings back bad memories. So Aspen's not done.
but Ninth and Wall we've already got the conditional use permit. We're ready to go on the Ninth and Wall. On Ninth and Wall, it's the environmental that we're waiting on.
Okay.
Yeah.
That cleanup on that house, right?
Well, the cleanup's been done. It's at the federal level that we just need the approval.
Okay. Okay,
any progress on the Aspen?
No, it's been submitted to Ogden City. I'm waiting for their conditions report to come back. And then I'm guessing that I'll make those changes, whatever changes they ask me to make, and then hoping we can get it approved.
I'm gonna be meeting with the mayor in the next few days. If you text me or email me, I'd like to bring this up just as specifically in our little one-on-one.
Okay. You might want to take like some Xanax or something before.
No, I'm just gonna say, look, that I'll handle it. This to me is equine fecal.
It is a mess. It's a mess. Yeah, I can send you all the information.
so what are you going back before their little intersection group that,
Before the planning commission?
no, with
On
Ogden
Ninth and
City? I thought you were gonna meet with
Oh,
Mark Johnson's cohort and that Brandon Cooper and that whole group.
no, I don't think we're going to.
You just have to go to planning commission?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
Yeah, we'll see what the conditions report comes back with.
yeah.
We'll meet those conditions if they're appropriate.
I was gonna say, let's not agree to meet conditions we haven't seen yet,
Correct.
because some of them were completely
Yeah.
out of bounds.
Yeah, our hope is, I mean, based on that last conversation, we should not have the issues that they were bringing up.
Okay,
It should all be based on what the
We addressed
zoning
all
says.
Mhm.
Yep,
I'm hopeful.
yeah,
Me
yeah,
too.
we are too.
I am too.
And Brandon, you and Scott reviewed
Mhm.
that submittal as well.
Yes,
A few
and we are
times.
prepared to appeal, any new
I'm gonna give
conditions.
them the benefit of the doubt.
You know,
You're a nice boy.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, let's get it. Next week, commission. We'll see
Yes.
it. Got it.
You'll also have the Wolf Creek ARPA grants on next week as well. A week from tomorrow.
But we don't, have we got those all
The,
ready to sign?
yes.
Okay, I want to take a look at those.
We'll get those to you.
Yeah. That one worries me a little bit.
Okay,
You want us to set up a meeting with you this week?
we can do
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yeah, I want to go through that line by line.
you got it.
We can do that.
I'm a little not quite as optimistic on that one.
Good. We'll set that up.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Yeah, again, I promised we would make sure that everybody had an agreement and that we had an agreement that was pretty much ironclad.
Yep.
That we can't have any people backing out of or saying, what ifs? So, yeah, let's make sure it's that.
Very good.
And that won't be any surprise to Miranda. I've told her that
Yep, no
myself
worries at
personally.
all.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, Miranda personally.
Personally, yeah, on more than one occasion. And we're seeing eye to eye, I think.
That's definitely.
All right, anything else?
No.
Okay, thanks.
Thank
Mr.
you so
Chair, I
much.
have an administrative item. Once we close this legislative work session, I'd like to discuss.
Well, I don't have anything
With
else on my
Mr.
agenda.
Wilkinson
Okay,
here
I will be here.
and the three commissioners.
You want Sean here?
Yes, please. But I
Okay,
don't think.
thanks, Andy.
You're welcome.
All right,
Thank
that would,
you.
I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn our work session
I'll move.
and go to admin.
Admin, yeah.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're now adjourned. Thank you. Let's go to admin.